Alright, so 4 years following a visit I had as a patient with Grandview Neurology, Dr. Hudgens MD, I am still receiving bills through the mail, and I've tried to contact Grandview about this and left my information several times, and my phone calls are never returned. I received no service in this visit. This doctor was given access to MRIs, CTs, and X-rays, which showed I'd broken the underside of my skull. And I'll give the details of my visit following this introduction. This is what I wrote in my Better Business Bureau complaint in 2021. So this bill is moved on to a bill collector, ARC Management Group, based out of Kennesaw, Georgia. And if this bill collector is viewing this video, I would like for you to understand my experience with this doctor and let you know who you're collecting money for and for what reasons. Grandview Neurology and Dr. Hudgens owe me a correct analysis of my injury that I almost died from when I visited their location, and I will not pay another penny to this group until I receive adequate service. Yes, I was a patient, a customer of Hudgens MD, and he works for Grandview Neurology, and this is located off of Highway 280, Birmingham, Alabama. Alright, so I was referred to Grandview Neurology from a visit I had at America Family Care, that's AFC, Parkway East, Roebuck, Birmingham, Alabama. And this was on May 30th, 2019. So I had a standard x-ray done during this visit, and it was reviewed as having no injury present. Alright, so I got the original x-ray images, and I'll put them up here. And despite this diagnosis and pronouncement, and I was misdiagnosed because something shows up in these pictures. This was by Anna Maria Echenique, MD, DABR, for American Family Care. And in the x-ray images, you can see there is a translucent oval, and it shows up directly below and covering this area where I had pain that sent me around to many doctors and emergency room visits between 2018, 2019, going into 2020. 2021, this wound is still not healed completely. Alright, so despite American Family Care saying I had no injury present, they referred me to a neurologist. So funny how that works, right? So this visit, it was at Grandview Neurology, directly next to Grandview Medical Center off Highway 280, Birmingham. 3686 Grandview Parkway, Suite 600. Alright, so here's my bill from Hudgens, Affinity Physician Services, LLC. So there's another name this business operates under. Yeah, and if you want to see all the details about what happened to me regarding this injury, I've got over 10 hours video documentation with all my records, etc., scanned in, and it's on my YouTube channel, My Medical Nightmare. And please search the appropriate names here, and you'll come up with some information on this. I very slowly recovered from this wound in 2018, and as I've gained strength, I've been able to go back and chase after these loose ends. Well, I went around to many doctors, medical professionals around the Birmingham, Alabama area. Paid a lot of money, and I received substandard service. And I believe I was a victim of patient dumping throughout this thing. I have no insurance, and I have no source of income. I have no job. So I was a cash pay patient, and I believe this singled me out for this kind of treatment in the post-Obamacare world of American healthcare. I paid $256 to be seen by Grandview Neurology Affinity Physician Services LLC neurologist Kyle Hudgens MD. The doctor engaged in too much irrelevant small talk. When I moved the conversation to my end, he acted offended. I showed him, printed, and I gave him copies of the discs, CD-ROMs, with my medical records and images. And that's X-ray, CT scans, and MRIs, showing the pebble-sized piece of bone that broke off the underside of my skull. And I was told no injuries or abnormalities were present. I showed him a CT picture from a few days earlier showing a CSF leak, infection, hole in the bottom of my skull, clearly visible head trauma 3 inches plus in diameter in an MRI, CT, and I showed him some x-rays as well. In the image, he asked, Kyle Hudgens, he asked me when I showed him these pictures, well, what did they say it was? Alright, and so then I was told I'd simply strained a neck muscle, and that was his diagnosis pronouncement that he wrote in his records. And he advanced a psychological etiology as well for a purely physical problem I was carrying, and he wrote in my records I was exhibiting aberrant behavior. And I had a chronic infection in my neck below this injury, and basically I was dying at this point. My health was sliding into serious decline. He did not write me any prescription for medicine, and he gave me no referral on to another doctor, and in his opinion was incorrect as well. It was a misdiagnosis. And his erroneous pronouncement adversely impacted future medical professionals' opinions of my injury. Last week, I did some videos on my exchange with Birmingham Radiological Group, and they had 3 radiologists who misdiagnosed my X-ray, CT scans, and an MRI scan that I had done at St. Vincent's East Hospital, Ascension, and American Health Imaging. And these radiologists were Angus Baird, MD, at American Health Imaging, Julian Patrick Druhan, did the X-ray and 2 CT scans for St. Vincent's East, Ascension, and Donald Shane Kelly, who did the CT scan I had with contrast also at St. Vincent's East Hospital. So yeah, when you go around and you have these different medical scans, and you take the medical data and you move it on to the next doctor or hospital, yeah, and what's produced in these various medical encounters, this does not exist in a vacuum. But in my case, I got all my records and I took this around with me to these new doctors that I would visit, alright? And yeah, in this video series, I will illustrate how the erroneous pronouncements and the misdiagnosis of the 3 radiologists who are members of Birmingham Radiological Group that I mentioned, that information, it later adversely impacted the medical opinions of otherwise unrelated doctors. See, I took the St. Vincent's East Ascension imagery to Grandview Neurology and Kyle Hudgens. He took the pictures, And yeah, he looked at them, and I gave him a disc, and he left the room where the medical encounter took place, and he went and looked at these pictures, I believe, on a computer for about 10 minutes. And then he came back into the room. So please note here, Kyle Hudgens, when I showed him these pictures, he didn't say, I can't look at those pictures. I don't know what I'm looking at, etc. He took the pictures and he proceeded to review them. All right, and this is a very significant. Yeah, I asked him, what did the pictures look like? And he was kind of cagey, kind of quiet about what his thoughts were. And then he comes back and he asked me, well, what did the doctors and what did the radiologists involved in those scans say the diagnosis was?